Hi, good evening. Welcome back to Cooking with Chief Tony. I want to say thank you to all my friends and fans who have shared and liked throughout the week. As we move forward for tonight, tonight's dinner is going to be homemade vegetable soup and some grilled cheese sandwiches. I do have a live audience tonight. My dad and stepmom, Dad and Mama Rosie, say hi.
Hi.
My roommate Gabe in the background. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and set you down. We'll go ahead and get the apron going, and we'll get started. It's a fairly easy night tonight. It's going to be, like I said, soup. One of my favorite soups that I make. And we're going to have some good sandwiches from the homemade fresh bread that I've showed you how to make in the past. Hello, everybody. So here's what we've got. Here's our ingredients. So we've got our fresh loaf of bread. This is our garlic bread that I just pulled out of the oven a little bit ago. I'm letting it rest a little bit. We've got our vegetables. These are frozen vegetables. And then we've got our minced garlic, pepper. We've got our salt. We've got our heavy cream, and we got some butter. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on our pot over here. We're going to turn on our fire. I'm going to turn it on low. And I'm just going to go ahead and let this warm up just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and turn you around as we get started here. So I hope everybody's doing well tonight. So I'm just going to grab a couple of spoons and we're going to go ahead and get started here. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a spoonful of butter. And I'm just going to go ahead and put it in our bowl over here. So we've got 1 serving spoonful of butter, and I'm just going to let that sit. All right, so I'm just going to set that down here, and I'm just going to let that melt a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of our minced garlic. I'm going to take a spoonful of this, just like that, with the juice, and I'm going to put it in our pot. So I'm just going to let that sit there. I want to get as much as I can off into this. I'm going to turn that up to a medium low heat. I'm going to use my wooden spoon, and I'm going to go ahead and just stir that around a little bit. Bless you. So I'm just going to let that sit there for just a moment. So what I'm going to do at the moment is I'm going to go ahead and open up our vegetables, get these bad boys ready to go. We will need a blender for this as well, but as we move forward, we'll get that going. So this is, I go to Walmart, and you can get these for about $1, $2, depending upon what's on sale. I tend to buy my vegetables frozen just because I like different varieties, and this is one of the things that I use. So I'm going to go ahead and bring you back over here. You'll see that we've got it boiling just a little bit, and we're just going to kind of roast our garlic just a little bit. I'm going to turn that down and just stir that a little bit. I'm going to set that there. So I've already opened one package. I'm just going to go ahead and pour this in. Frozen and all. You can either defrost it or you can have it completely frozen. It doesn't matter. I think it's better to be frozen for the simple fact that you have the extra water in there. All right. So, and I've got this on a nice medium heat. We've got our minced garlic at the bottom. I'm just going to stir this up because I want to get our minced garlic and our butter all over our vegetables here.
That looked like the pool where Mario went.
So actually, so I don't know if you heard my dad in the background, my Tío Mario, back home in Bakersfield. everybody wants some kind of, you know, hoodie or t-shirt. So for those that don't know, I have been working on a logo, and we will hopefully be starting our own apparel line here pretty soon. So just be open for that. Thank you, Miss Rosa. So I'm just going to go ahead and let that sit there. I'm going to let it warm up. I've got it on a medium heat right now, so we've got that going over here pretty good. I'm just going to set that over here. So while we do that, I'm going to go ahead and turn this back around. I'm going to throw this in the garbage. And then what I'm going to do is, while that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and open up our bread. I'm going to slice our bread up here. Again, I just made this so it's nice and fresh, still warm. So I'm going to go ahead and do my slices for our sandwich, for our sandwiches. And so this, for those that are just joining us for the first time, so this is a recipe that I have shared actually a couple weeks ago. So if you just go back and look at us on YouTube, you will see that the recipe for the garlic bread, and it also has the cinnamon raisin bread, and it has just the regular, so you can also do this no knead, and it's all no knead, and it's all done within 2-3 hours, depending upon how long you want to let it sit. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue to cut these bad boys down, and I like to make thick slices because, I mean, this is just good soft bread. So here, I'll kind of move that down. And so in the background, I can already hear my vegetables starting to steam and cook a little bit. So in just a moment, when I get done slicing this piece, I will go ahead and I will check on it real quick. So tonight, again, we're having our vegetable soup with grilled cheese sandwiches. So, okay, let's go ahead and go back over here. So you can kind of hear it sizzling a little bit, and you can see that there's a little juice coming from the frozen part, and it's a little water, which is great, which is what we need. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit.
Mario said you would be wearing that hoodie.
It's one of my favorites. So I'm just going to go ahead and let that continue to cook a little bit. I'm going to let it steam. So what I'm going to do in the meantime is continue to cut the bread, but I'm also going to go ahead and get my measuring cup, because I'm going to go ahead and get about 1.5 cups to 2 cups of water. So when I actually blend this down, it's going to become a thicker soup. So if you really want your soup to be thick, you'll use less water. So you use about 1 cup. I like it to be a little bit soupier, so it's going to be anywhere between about 1.5 cups to 2 cups, and it's going to be really your judgment as to what you're going to use. So I'm just going to fill it up to 2 cups. I'll show you here. So I've got 2 cups of water. Room temperature. It doesn't matter. Doesn't need to be anything major or special. But you got 2 cups of water, and I'm just going to let my vegetables cook because I want them to completely cook. Maybe even get a little brown tinge around them. So if you want them to be a little bit of color, you'll put that up a little bit higher on the temperature. So I'm just going to let that cook over here. I'm going to let that water sit right there for just a moment. And don't forget, we still have our cream, we still have our salt, we have our pepper. And then if you want to add a little extra flavor, which I'm going to tonight, I'm actually going to go ahead and put in some chicken bouillon. So I'll go ahead and show you that in just a moment. For those that are, for my vegetarian eaters out there, the chicken bouillon obviously and the cream, there is vegan butter out there. I did not use vegan butter today, but there is vegan butter that you can make this with. And you can also substitute the heavy cream with a little bit of almond milk or even soy milk. I think it tastes better with heavy cream, but that's just me personally. So I'm going to go back to cutting my bread real quick. It's really soft, it's nice and warm, and like I said, you normally want to let this cool down a little bit, but because it literally just came out of the oven, I'm going to go ahead and cut it anyway. And so, but it does, it smells good in here.
It does.
Mama Rosie and Dad have been begging for some of my bread for a while now, haven't you?
Yep.
So, and they did a surprise visit, so I have surprise guests this weekend, which is awesome. I absolutely love it. Excuse me. Anyway, yes they did. Yes they did. They got me. All right, so as you can see, we've got our nice mixture going on here. Hopefully you can hear the sound of it. It is actually just sizzling away here, which is great. That means that butter is going to go ahead and caramelize our vegetables a little bit and give it a little extra flavor. What I'm going to do right at the moment is I'm actually going to go ahead and add our salt and pepper right at the moment. And for those that know, I like to go ahead and sprinkle my salt just around. So I'm going to go ahead and set that off over here, and so I'm just going to do this. So just a little salt, and then I'll set you down because we're going to open up our pepper. All right, and then I just sprinkle it around here, and then I'm just going to go ahead and continue to stir. Now you can also do a stir fry like this, just using onions and using bell peppers and broccoli if you wanted, carrots. I'm not normally a big fan of cauliflower, but in this soup it really helps and adds a little extra something to it, for those that know what I mean. Alright, so I'm going to let that continue to cook, and I'm going to go back over here. So, hello Brianna, how are you doing? So depending upon how hungry your guests are will determine on how big you make these sandwiches. I'm actually going to go ahead and break these down. So even though I'm cutting several slices, it's not going to be 2 slices on one piece of bread. I'm actually going to turn one slice into one sandwich, making it a half a sandwich, just using one slice of bread. And so for those that haven't seen what this looks like, this is what it looks like. So we got some good hearty thick pieces right here. Now you can either use this as a dipping tool, like crackers. You don't have to do sandwiches if you don't want, but I love sandwiches with my soup. So, alright, so let's go ahead and go back over here. Go ahead and stir this up with just a tiny bit more. So it's almost getting there to the point where it's soft enough when you can actually start cutting the vegetables with your spoon, with a wooden spoon. Oh, thank you, Brianna. I'm glad you liked it. And that is just, that recipe you can actually doctor up in in many different ways. You could probably add cheese and jalapenos to it, which is my next venture on that one, and I'll let you know how that turns out. So what I'm going to do is right at this moment, I'm going to go ahead and add my water to our pot here. And I'm just going to add about a cup. But also what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my chicken broth. or my chicken bouillon, excuse me. And I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle this over. Yeah, some of it's going to go ahead and fall in. That's fine because I'm not going to use exact measurements here. So I've got about a serving spoonful, and I'm just going to put that into our soup here. I'm just going to go ahead and mix it because I want to get as much as I can off of the spoon. And I'll take you back to show you what it looks like right at the moment. So this is what we got going on right now. So I'll probably add just a tiny bit more water because I want to go ahead and cover the vegetables. So that was actually 2 cups right there. So I'm going to turn this down because I don't want to lose a whole lot of moisture in this process, but it's down to a low-medium heat. I'm going to go ahead and continue to stir because I want to be able to have a nice boil to it, but I don't want it to boil too much. Where's the sign? I don't know, Pete. You tell me. You tell me where the sign is. Alright, so I'm going to let that sit here. I'm going to bring you back over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and get our, this is the off-brand local heavy cream. I'm just going to go ahead and pour some of that in here. I'm not going to measure. I'm just going to go by sight here. So I'm just going to pour just a little bit, about 2.5 splashes right there. And I'm just going to let it cook. That's going to go ahead and thicken up our soup a little bit. But it's also going to let us, when we blend our vegetables, have it even thicker. So I'm just going to let that sit there. I'm going to let it boil because I really want to get the vegetables soft. I want to be able to blend them down to a complete liquid form. So I'm going to go ahead and come back over here. We're going to finish slicing our bread over here. Hey Pete, you're going to have to, you and Dell are going to have to come back. I'll cook for you guys next time. You guys can be my next live audience here at the house. And that could be another show actually. Who's at the dinner table? Guess who's coming to dinner? So anyway, all right, and I'm going to go ahead and just slice this last piece because I love to have this bread first thing in the morning for toast. It makes good toast, especially the cinnamon raisin bread. Oh my God, that, like I said, it brings back a lot of memories. So I'm trying to talk my parents into moving to Vegas so I can actually do this for my nieces and nephews so they can actually pick up the baton. I can pass the baton off to them, and then when I get old, they can make this for me because they know I'm already going to be picky. But anyway, my mom says I'm picky over there in the background. So, well, as my grandma always used to say, you know what you like, and you might as well go for it. And so, today would have been my grandmother's 76th birthday. Unfortunately, she's passed on in 2014. But you know, I know she would have loved tonight's soup. So it's continuing to boil and it's simmering over here. So I'm just going to let that sit over here. While I do that, I'm going to go ahead and get my blender ready. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it out of the shadows. And we'll go ahead and get started. So I just have my regular blender. And I'm just going to go ahead and get it all set up, ready to go. Turn you around here. And so in just a few moments, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually scoop out all of the vegetables so I can go ahead and put it in the blender over here, and then we'll blend everything down. All right, so as you can see, we've got our stuff boiling here. We've got some nice color to our broccoli. Thanks, Pete. So, all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to actually scoop out some of our vegetables. So I'm just going to go ahead and get down in here, and I'm going to get one of my bowls. And we're going to actually strain this out. Thanks, Dell. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and scoop some of these out. I try to take out, you know, all of the cauliflower because, like I said, it takes quite a bit. But I'm going to go ahead and just take some of this out. Pete wouldn't notice my apron. You're probably right. So I'm just going to leave some of that cauliflower in there. I'm leaving some of our vegetables, but this is what it looks like after it's been cooked. It's got the heavy cream in there, and this is what we've got going on. So I'm just going to continue to let that cook, okay? But what I am going to do, and one thing that I've learned over time, is that I'm not going to add any more water to this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the juice from the bowl or from the pot, and I'm going to put it in here because it's going to help blend. And I don't want to add extra water to it because it will change all of this flavor that we have here. So I'm just adding just enough in there to make it smooth. Okay, so we're going to go back over here. All right. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to get our spoon over here. And I'm just going to go ahead and we're just going to go ahead and put our stuff in here. So I want to get as much juice out of this as possible. So if you notice, there's just a little bit down there at the bottom. That's all we need. If we need more, then we can always go back and get more. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this on puree, so you'll hear it. And so I'm going to have to shake mine around just a little bit because there might not be just a little bit, and there might not be enough. I'll play around with it. So I'm going to go ahead and get more juice from our pot real quick. Because you gotta have the right mixture. You have to have the right, there it is. So you gotta have enough juice, otherwise it's not gonna work for you. So anyway, all right, so we're going to go back over here. And we've got just enough stuff in here. So I'm just going to go ahead and add it back to our pot. So as you can see, it's very thick. coming in. And you'll see some of that down there at the bottom. That's perfectly fine. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and ladle more broth out of the pan, out of the pot. And I'm just going to go ahead and take the lid, and I'm just going to shake it around just a little bit. And if it does, and you just keep doing it until you get all of it out. Okay. Okay, so we've got all of it out, or the majority of it out anyway. And I'm going to go ahead and show you, this is what we got going on over here. So it looks like a nice pulp, it's thick. We still have vegetables in there. So I'm just going to let that sit on low, because now at this point it's just going to finish steaming and cooking, and everything else is just going to finish melding together. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to do our grilled cheese real quick, and then we are good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on my stove. I have one of my little my little griddles. I'm going to put that on medium. So you'll see that back there. Just make sure it's on. I'm going to go ahead and cover my soup, because it is a Dutch oven. I'm going to go ahead and cover that up because it's on low. And we're going to go ahead and just make our sandwiches. So as I said, I'm going to go ahead and just cut into halves. So I'm going to take one slice, I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm just going to go ahead and use our butter. I'm just going to butter it, cut it in half, butter it, and then we're going to let it cook on the sides first, and then I'll add the grilled cheese, or the cheese, to it. Boy, it sounds so serious in here.
We're hungry.
It sounds so serious in here. You can skip that part if you don't want to puree it, Brianna. Yes, you can. So that is just something that is just one of the choices that I make to do, because I like to make it a little bit thicker. But you don't have to. If you're not going to puree it, I would use a little less of the cream, because you don't want it to be too creamy, unless if that's what you like. By preference, I don't use a whole lot of cream when I don't puree it. But yes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take you back over here. Got our grilled cheese already going over here. So I'm just going to let that cook right there for just a moment. Again, this is our fresh bread. use safety at all costs, but I use my fingers. My mom will tell you, Mama Rosie will tell you, I was flipping tortillas on the on the stove this morning after I made breakfast. So I feel legit. I feel legit right now. So I love mine toasted. I like mine just to where you can see the brown. So I'm going to let that sit for just a moment. I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to finish another slice. I'm just going to get this one ready. And this makes good pull apart bread too. All right.
Wait a second.
Huh?
So serious.
All right, here we go. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So see, we've got some nice browning going on right there. You don't want to let it sit too long because it will stick to the griddle. So if you want, you can either turn down the griddle a little bit. I'm going to just a tad. But look at that. That is gorgeous. So now I'm going to add my cheese a little bit. And again, I use Colby Jack. I use Lucerne, use Tillamook, whichever cheese you find appealing. You know, one of my favorite grilled cheese sandwiches is putting some Colby Jack cheese on there, but also adding some pepper jack. One of these times, I think on one of the segments, I'll go ahead and do my 5 Italian cheese paninis with my Italian soup. I'm just going to set this right there. Get my spatula because I'm going to push this down. So I'm going to push this down. Here, I'll turn this just a little bit. So I'm going to push that down just a little bit because I have shredded cheese here. So I'm just going to go ahead and push that down just a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and continue to check these, make sure that they're good to go. So we're just going to continue to let these cook. As the cheese melts. That smells delicious. Just going to turn these over. Let them toast on the opposite side, but this one is almost finished. Alright guys, I think we can actually get ready to start plating our food. Alright. So let's go ahead and get us a nice big bowl of our soup. It's nice and boiling. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. Turn it off. Stir it up nice and good. Get my ladle. Now you can always add more water to this in the very beginning. You just don't want to add water to it after you have made your puree and everything else, because again, it literally changes the texture. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to pull off our grilled cheese here. And there we go, everybody. This is our vegetable soup and grilled cheese sandwich. Let's cut into this grilled cheese real quick. It's cold here. Yes, it is. It is cold here in Vegas. All right, so let's cut into this bad boy. Let's take a look.
Perfect dinner soup.
Look at that. Look at that gorgeous goodness. See, this is how I like my grilled cheese. I like mine a little burnt around the edges and stuff like that. I love to have color with mine. All right, guys. Well, that is it. Thank you for watching. It is a very simple, very easy dinner for those that are on the move, on the go, and are working a lot like I am. So continue to like, continue to share. Thank you again for your support. And wave goodbye, Mama Rosie. Pop, wave goodbye.
Bye.
All right,
Good night.
everybody. Thank you so much. God bless. Take care.